Welcome to EtherLink AI Insights, the podcast where we dive into the real-world challenges and opportunities of deploying artificial intelligence in enterprise environments. I'm Alex, and I'm here with Sam today to talk about something that's happening right now in Utrecht and across Europe, the rise of Agentic AI Systems and how organizations are preparing for the EU AI Act 2026. Sam, this is a fascinating moment, isn't it?
Absolutely. We're at this inflection point where AI has stopped being just a tool that responds to questions and is becoming something far more autonomous and powerful. Agentic AI systems can plan, negotiate, execute tasks, and learn on their own, and that's exactly why regulators are paying attention.
Right. So let's ground this for our listeners. When we talk about agentic AI systems, what's the practical difference from the chatbots people interact with today?
It's night and day. A chatbot waits for you to ask a question, then responds. An agentic AI system can break down a complex procurement workflow, negotiate with suppliers, update databases, and handle exceptions, all without you asking it to do each step. It operates independently. In Utrecht, you've got financial institutions like ING and ABN Amro that desperately need this kind of autonomous capability for compliance monitoring and risk assessment, but they can't just flip a switch without understanding the regulatory landscape.
And that regulatory landscape is the EU AI Act, which becomes fully effective in August 2026. We're talking about less than 2 years away. How serious is this deadline for enterprises?
Extremely serious. According to the European Commission, about 85% of enterprise agentic AI deployments will be classified as high risk under the new rules. That means mandatory conformity assessments, transparency documentation, human oversight mechanisms, the works. But here's what's interesting. We've found that 78% of European enterprises don't yet have the governance maturity to handle this.
That's a staggering gap. So you've got this huge opportunity. McKinsey research suggests agentic AI could unlock $2.7 trillion in value across European markets by 2030, but most organizations aren't ready for the compliance side. What does governance maturity actually look like?
Good question. It's not just a compliance checkbox. It's 3 interconnected pieces. First, technical readiness. Do you have clean data? Can you validate your models? Can you deploy agents reliably? Second, governance frameworks. Do you have risk assessment processes? Can you audit what your agents are actually doing? Is there a human in the loop when it matters? Third, compliance architecture. Can you document decisions transparently? Can you demonstrate impact assessments?
That sounds comprehensive. Let's talk about Utrecht specifically. Why is this city positioned as a hub for agentic AI adoption?
It's ecosystem advantage. You've got over 200 tech startups in Utrecht, plus major financial institutions headquartered there. That's a natural proving ground. Financial services need autonomous agents for trading, compliance, and risk. They're already thinking about this. Logistics companies need supply chain optimization. Tech companies are building the infrastructure. It's not accidental that innovation clusters form around these synergies.
So if I'm a CTO at a major Dutch financial institution right now, what's my immediate priority? Do I focus on building agentic capabilities or locking down compliance?
It's both, but I'd flip the typical tech mindset. Start with compliance architecture, not the agent itself. Run a governance readiness scan. Understand your data quality, your risk assessment gaps, your audit trail capabilities. Because if you build an amazing autonomous agent and it doesn't fit the regulatory framework, you're looking at massive rework. The smart move is to design for compliance from day one, then build the capability on top of that foundation.
That's a really practical insight. When you say design for compliance from day one, what does that look like in concrete terms?
It means thinking about transparency documentation before you deploy. It means building human oversight into workflows where the agent makes high-stakes decisions, like approving loans or controlling infrastructure. It means auditing every decision the agent makes so you can explain it later. And honestly, it means bringing compliance teams and technical teams together much earlier in the process than most organizations do.
That's a cultural shift as much as a technical one. Let's dig into the regulation itself. You mentioned that Agentic AI systems typically fall into high-risk categories. Can you walk us through what actually triggers high-risk classification?
Sure. Under the EU AI Act, you're high risk if your agent makes autonomous decisions affecting employment, credit, or legal status. If it controls critical infrastructure like energy grids or transportation systems, if it processes biometric data for ID or monitoring, if it generates content designed to manipulate behavior or influence public opinion, or if it executes financial transactions without real-time human oversight. Most enterprise agentic deployments hit at least one of these categories.
So a logistics company optimizing supply chains, is that high risk?
Depends on the scope. If the agent is just optimizing routes and inventory levels, probably not. But if it's making autonomous decisions about supplier payments, procurement contracts, or handling edge cases that affect employment, then yes, it enters high-risk territory. That's why the readiness scan is so valuable. You need to map where your agent operates and understand the regulatory consequence of each decision it makes.
This brings up something I find compelling about Utrecht's position. You mentioned the city's tech-forward ecosystem. What would a best-in-class agentic AI deployment look like in Utrecht in 2026?
Honestly, it would probably start with a financial institution or logistics firm that treats compliance as a competitive advantage, not a constraint. They'd invest in domain-specific language models trained on their proprietary data, so the agent understands financial products or supply chain mechanics deeply. They'd build transparency and audit mechanisms from the ground up. They'd establish clear human oversight for high-stakes decisions. And they'd publish their governance framework publicly, showing other enterprises how to do it right. That's leadership.
Domain-specific language models. That's something we should unpack a bit. Why is that important for enterprise agentic AI?
Because a general-purpose language model trained on the internet doesn't know your business. It might understand the words procurement and vendor, but not the nuances of your specific processes, contracts, or risk tolerance. A domain-specific model trained on your internal data and operational history can make far better autonomous decisions. It's more accurate, more compliant with your specific needs, and frankly, it's more defensible from a regulatory perspective. You can explain why the agent made a decision using your own business logic.
That makes sense. So we're looking at 2026 arriving in less than 2 years. For organizations that haven't started, is it too late?
Not too late, but the window is closing. If you haven't started a governance readiness scan, you should do that immediately. You need to understand your compliance gaps before you can address them. Organizations that start now, thinking about governance architecture, getting their data in order, building audit trails, they'll be ahead. Organizations waiting until mid-2025 are going to be scrambling.
Final question. If there's one takeaway you'd want a CTO or AI leader to walk away with today, what is it?
Agentic AI isn't about replacing humans. It's about enabling humans to focus on strategy, creativity, and relationship building while agents handle execution. But getting there requires thinking about governance from day one, not as an afterthought. The organizations that master this shift will outcompete those that don't.
That's a perfect place to land. Sam, thanks for breaking this down. Listeners, if you want to dive deeper into agentic AI systems in Utrecht, EU AI Act compliance strategies, and governance frameworks, head over to EtherLink AI and check out the full article. You'll find detailed compliance checklists, readiness assessment frameworks, and real-world examples of how enterprises are preparing. This is Alex and Sam with EtherLink AI Insights. Thanks for listening.